So this is the BitToll project presentation. I'm Colin Rice.
And Maxwell Whitfield. And Ethan Bond.
So far BitToll's progress is that there's a node up. You go to BitToll.com, there's full API documentation. When it was announced, which I guess was June 4th, I think, people visited. I have proof from Google Analytics. Some people were interested, some people weren't. I got like 2 emails from people, mainly not actually interested in using BitToll, but telling me about other interesting things that they thought I should use in my repository. We also managed to break Haskell. It turns out if you use LLVM 3.2 as a backend for GHC, you get it to generate illegal instructions, and no one has any idea why. And I can't get a reduced test case to work, but I can reliably crash the calculated program with a very large, like 5-file test case. So that's sort of our progress so far. I have pretty graphs. This is the monitoring output, so this is the response time. It's basically clustered around 5 milliseconds, which is pretty good. And this is the usage. The whole thing is red, which means that the only person using the server is me, because I'm mining my Bitcoins through it, which is a little bit sort of depressing to me. But
okay, so I kind of joined the project late, and I was talking to Colin, and he was talking about doing like a anti-spam email thing, and after talking it over, we decided to do more of like a advertising type thing. So content worth paying for is what we're calling this whole scope. Which basically there's a lot of like really cool content on the internet, and right now it's mostly supported by advertising, and there's no really convenient way to pay for it, even if you wanted to. So we think BitToll is a good way to address it because of how quick it is and how divisible transactions are.
So we decided that we're going to work on we decided we're going to try and make a Chrome extension thing, and that's the first step. And this will be someone who gets this extension will be able to configure it so that when you visit a website that also has the BitToll set it's enabled, the plugin will see something in the header, and it will ask you, hey, do you want to pay a fraction of a cent every time you visit this website? And you can say yes, no, all those. And you'll be able to just every time you visit that site give them a little bit of money through our service, and we'll configure it. We'll put in statistics and things so you can track how much you're spending and all that jazz. But if people actually have to use it,
so we've actually put some thought into this. This is just the random list of questions my brother asked us after we've already answered all these questions in front of him. So we've in fact considered all of this. So that's our presentation. Thanks to the usual suspects as always. Just so good you're all shocked into silence.
So I guess the question is, it's probably one of those, is that will websites want to do this content we're paying for instead of advertising? I think
Okay, so
they would make more money than having ads.
okay, like basic, like super quick back of the napkin type calculations. If the average user on Facebook were to agree to pay 1/100th of a cent per visit, it would double Facebook's revenue, while also eliminating their sales department, their tech support department, eliminate the cost of hosting the ads themselves, which like on YouTube is actually probably a pretty big cost if they're 6-7 videos, as well as being able to serve an ad-free experience, and they don't have to mine user data anymore, because up till now that's been like their excuse for mining data is to serve relevant ads. So I mean, it's up to them, but it's definitely commercially viable, I think.
it's probably going to be having an ad-free version, a premium version for now, is where people might turn.
Right. The terms are up to the site and the user to agree upon.
We just provide a little interface in the header that you can listen to.
So yesterday's previous news, there was a special discussion with a person from Berkeley who was specifically saying this kind of things. Not in terms of Bitcoin, but he was saying that how to pay for content.
Right.
Interaction of the Kafka. He was also talking about how much money one should charge for a discipline.
Right, and more like advertisers, there's like studies come out every day. So I come from a usability background, so like usability, there's lots of usability studies on the fact that kids like our age don't even see advertisements anymore. Like we literally don't notice that they're there when we're on the internet. And that's going to be a huge issue once advertisers realize that, because all these free sites that we're used to using are going to go away once advertisers stop doing that.
Accumulate, so maybe I'm completely off the mark, but is it possible that this would log the market with bitcoins and increase the volatility? Like, would it be sustainable long term if it's really widely used?
So the only thing that I think would, so basically what happens is how you use these plugins. You go to some website like daydream.net, which is my homepage, and I'm an asshole, and so I try and charge you $1 to view my home site. And so it says, you know, must authenticate with BitToll or whatever. And the BitToll plugin in the lower right pops up and it says, would you like to pay Colin Rice $1? And you can say yes, always when I visit the site, and no, he can go screw himself. And if you say yes, what happens is the plugin actually goes to a BitToll server, checks they have enough money to pay me $1 in Bitcoins. And if you do, everything's hunky-dory and wonderful, and it just transfers it to the BitToll server. If it doesn't, it prompts you for your credit card in or $5. And then you get the Bitcoins essentially instantaneously after using funny stuff in the back end to do this. But I figured out how to do it, and then the Bitcoins are transferred to Colin Rice. And then Colin Rice visits later, and you know, he says, oh look, I've got $22 because I have exactly 22 visitors to my website, and he hits the withdraw button, and it gets all converted back out to US dollars. And so this probably won't actually have very much effect on the actual Bitcoin price, because buying Bitcoins to us, while you can do it with a credit card in under 100 milliseconds, we're going to charge more just because we have to do that transaction fast without paying to actually process the Bitcoin exchange. So we have to be, essentially, we have to have at least 10 or 20% buffer so we don't get screwed over by fast changes in the Bitcoin price. So we're not essentially used as another way to exchange Bitcoins. So the only thing that'll really mess with us is if the value of Bitcoin just depreciates a lot, and so people have paid $5 for us, and then suddenly they only have 10 cents for the Bitcoins. And that's sort of the only big risk. And like, it's happened in the past. Like, I've been through a bunch of Bitcoin crashes at this point. Generally, it doesn't happen that fast. It's not like overnight you move $5 to 5 cents. It's like over 5 months. You go from $5 to like $1. So if Bitcoins crash, we might have an interesting time. Oh wait, yeah,
You in the back.
I'm sorry. Is this proposed as an alternative to the advertisements, like a replacement for them?
The terms are for the user and the website to agree upon. Like, that's one usage, is to replace ads on websites.
For website revenue?
Yeah, another would just be like donations. You just donate to like your web comics or whatever. Yeah, there's a variety of things.
we're basically just providing a way for websites to charge users, and what the website decide to do with it is not sort of, I mean, it is in our purview, obviously, but we're not going to be directly influencing that besides some examples on how to set it up.
It's just providing an interface so that websites can ask for money and then give you a service in exchange for it, if they want to.
And it's like, it seems like that's just kind of the same function as like just a website subscription, or like I don't know, having to use like PayPal for a website or something.
Yeah, but would you want to use PayPal every time you visit Facebook? Like, that's the thing, that's too slow. And this is designed to be, maybe you hit a button once when you visit the website and it's automatic from there on out.
Yeah.
Right. You sort of double.
Is it all tied to US dollars?
It's all tied to Bitcoins. So theoretically, you could use any currency and convert it to Bitcoins and pay out in Bitcoins, and then the website owner can decide what currency they want to withdraw in. In reality, we're starting with US dollars because I'm a US citizen, and that's the easiest for me to do US credit cards to Bitcoins just because of how laws work out. If someone else actually makes a useful service that lets you do credit cards to Bitcoins in a somewhat guaranteed fashion, I'll use it, but right now we're going to have to roll our own, which is going to be an interesting mess of legality.
Because like what I'm saying is, would the kind of toll for a website be based around what you're willing to pay in US dollars or what you're willing to pay in Bitcoins?
So the actual system's in Bitcoins. What's probably going to happen is when we set up an Nginx plugin to do the injections for the site owners, they'll say how much they want to charge, and they'll either charge it to a set Bitcoin rate or a set US dollar rate, and it'll just automatically convert to Bitcoins. So I'm sure everyone will be pegging it on how much they want to charge in their own currency and then converting to Bitcoins.
And then will Bitcoin sort of dynamically change to reflect that? I mean, is there really like a central?
So the price to buy Bitcoins on the server, like using a credit card, will change to reflect the current market price at that level. Because essentially what we're doing is we're buying Bitcoins from the market, according to how much we bought them for, and charging users 10% more gesture based on what the actual spot price is. And if the spot price goes up, we charge them more, and if the spot price goes down, we hopefully didn't buy too many, so we can get rid of our current price at the price and then pull more in. So nothing in the system is tied to any one currency besides the actual user interface, and we can make that international. So I don't know what I'm saying in the question. That's not a concern, but it is a concern in the beginning, but we can fix it, we swear. But, you already had a question, right? Okay, I'm gonna go with the guy in the back who hasn't said anything yet.
So is this like a service like pay if you can, like if you click yes and you pay $1 or whatever every time you say and you can use the site, if you click no, does that mean you can't use the site, or?
That's up to the site. What'll happen is if you click no, the header will change to a state of user denied, and then it depends on what they want to do. If they want to just be like, oh, they said no, whatever, we'll just serve them the content anyway, it's fine. In that case, they probably just serve you the content up front and request you pay, and the payment independent of the content. This is a site where they want you to pay the content. They probably have some, please say yes on BitToll, or like, this is how you use BitToll or something. So that the plugin's not there, you see, if the plugin is there, they'll just say, waiting for BitToll confirmation. Then you say no, and they go, well, authorization denied, here's a flat red error page, or however we want to do it.
Or a bunch of ads.
Yeah, it's up to them, basically.
Is this service going to have a way to remember users and let users do like subscription-based use?
Yeah, so I actually just added that. So how it's going to work is there's essentially 3 parts. One of them is taking user credentials and tying them to BitToll accounts. And I wrote that last night, and it works, and it's deployed. Docs aren't written yet, but it's deployed. The second part is storing what websites we've authorized to charge us every time we visit them. And this is a little hairy because like we do fake page loads inside websites with iframes and stuff. So there has to be a little bit more logic there. It was like, 1 transaction per day, that's pretty simple to do. And so that is going to be stored in Chrome user local storage, because that's not per se confidential. We don't mind if someone else reads that out of memory, but it still needs to be stored. So the Chrome plugin is going to store it and sync it between all your devices using the Google APIs. And then there's another set which is like the log of which websites have been paid, and that's not in BitToll, it's anonymous. Well, it's not completely anonymous, it's mostly anonymous. If you're actually interested, I'll talk to you afterwards about that. But so we do store transaction logs so the user can see what's going on, but that's stored in the plugin as well.
Yeah, because I just imagine most of the websites I visit, I'd be fine paying them every month, saying, hey, Facebook, I'll give you, $5 a month to use your service ad-free, but I don't want to pay every time I refresh the homepage.
Ideally, it'd be something like they charge like 100th or 1,000th of a cent.
Yeah.
And if you're paying 1,000th of a cent every time you view Facebook, that seems more reasonable. If you view Facebook 50,000 times, you should probably see someone about that. But like in that case, you would be less willing to do that. It just sort of depends. It's going to be a bit of sort of like user flux, UI flux, when you decide whether or not I want to have I only want this website to be able to charge up to 25 cents type of deal.
Yeah.
But first you have to get the system working, and then we have to start worrying about the real usability parts of it. Anyone else have a question? I keep seeing hands go up and then down as I'm talking.
So with the example with the Facebook thing of 100%, would it be possible to use Chrome native client or maybe JavaScript to mine Bitcoins on the fly and pay for that when page is loading?
So,
I don't know how fast it is, but
yes, totally possible. The actual BitToll server supports that. In reality, because of the granularity of Bitcoin mining and how I'm using my backend, I'd have to do a little bit more work to make it actually feasible, because it would take like 10 or 20 minutes to mine the smallest increment of mining that I could pay you for. So totally possible.
That'd be really cool if you could.
Yeah, I might add it in like the second version of the plugin, but given how like adding mining delayed the initial launch of BitToll like a month, I realized that I'm not doing that the first time around, and then we'll add it the second time.
So I guess are you able, if you're the website owner and you want to discriminate or raise, certain users or certain people from certain places, is that supported by BitToll? Like that seems like something like a filter that you could charge more for
So
certain things.
BitToll, the plugin exchange is going to microtransactions. Once you create the payment ID and you get it to them somehow, they have no idea who paid it. So it could be anyone, as long as they have the payment ID, they can pay it. It's not like it's restricted and there's no record of it. So through BitToll, they can't extract that information, but if they can figure that out from your cookies or whatever, they could charge differential prices when they actually serve you the page. We just can't. If they already know the information, we can't stop them from doing that. We're not going to be like, you only can charge 10 cents for this domain type of deal. We're not going to bother enforcing that because A, it's too technically difficult, and B, there are cases where like certain pages are worth more. Like you go to my website, my resume, I don't want to charge you to do. If I wrote some 4-hour-long blog post that I feel like should be turned into a book, I probably want to charge like a cent. So they could do it. I hope they don't. I'm sure that'll be a nightmare if it happens, and we'll see what comes out.
What happens if they say for JavaScript?
Well, so I'm pretty sure that you can't disable JavaScript. So if you disable JavaScript, you disable site JavaScript, but there's these things in Chrome called content scripts that come from plugins extensions, and you can't actually, I don't think if you disable JavaScript, you disable the JavaScript in those. I'm not 100% sure, but if you disable JavaScript, the page can't also react to your BitToll payment, so either way, you mess the whole system up.
And you're living in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfectly reasonable. Using developer tools.
Yeah, I mean, if you disable JavaScript, why are you trying? I don't know. Like, that's a weird use case. It's probably will break everything.
For some people, it's a security thing.
Yeah. I guess we could probably hook something into HTTP authorization, but that would require actually getting patches merged in all web browsers, which is totally doable. Probably not a good idea for a first draft.
You also, I highly recommend building some kind of fallback that doesn't rely on a plugin, just because I like to view websites on my phone, I like to view websites on public computers, I like to view websites on places where I don't have Chrome and I don't necessarily have the luxury of installing my own plugins.
So that's both a problem and not a problem. So it uses Chrome extensions, a little different than plugins, but if you want to use a different browser, so the auth details tying like your authorization to a BitToll account and your balance are global. Like I actually added a whole new API to it for the server, so those can be shared between browsers trivially. What won't be shared trivially is your settings, your transaction log, and your transaction log.
Yeah.
So you can totally do that. You're just going to need something that's BitToll enabled, whether it's your own web browser or a little script or whatever you want to use. But transaction logs and settings won't be synced.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be writing like a Firefox plugin or extension, add-on, I think is what they call it. But it probably won't sync with your Chrome extensions just because that's how the APIs work.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh yeah, over down, thank you.